Welcome to Football and the Kitchen Sink. Get ready for in-depth conversation from the world of high school, college, and pro football. Plus some insight about the rest of the world. All this, along with some fun and humor along the way. Pull up a chair, grab a coffee or a beer, and join us. It's Football and the Kitchen Sink. Here are your hosts, Coach Schuman and Coach DePascali.
Yeah, man.
Oh, let's get after it.
On the boringest week of the year.
The worst week of the year
in football. We got to get some excitement going. So, with that,
a little bit of a tough day, man. It's kind of hard to even realize and imagine that, Kobe Bryant's been gone for a year.
Kobe. Wow. Is it today the day?
Today is the year anniversary. I mean,
I remember that was so.
That's what I'm saying. That's one of those things. You're gonna always remember where you were when you heard that news because he had such an impact. And
normally I would say yes, but after the year we've just had,
right? Could you imagine that happened, and then it basically all this other stuff just kind of overshadowed it, But I mean, it's still. We should have known right then and there that this year was going to be terrible.
Yeah.
That set the tone for this entire year.
They took our man Kobe out, man.
The Mamba.
Unbelievable.
Great story. I mean, he's just a great story in general, The fact how he grew up, the whole thing. He grew up overseas as a military kid. Basketball was just kind of his release. He was kind of one of those last guys to come into the league directly from high school, no college whatsoever. And just
it wasn't the last. I think LeBron might have been among the last class.
You're right. Because remember, there was that trend though. That was a trend for a while. I'm going.
I
right
like that. I never had a problem with that trend. I never had a problem with it.
If you're good enough, go.
My thing on basketball is the one and done is
oh God. John Calipari, man. I mean, he perfected it. I mean, it was kind of crazy the other day. I actually saw
if you had one and done in football, you'd have players going too, just in that time.
I think football is just different.
You're not physical enough yet, but they would be going. I'm telling you, they'd still be going.
Because now, absolutely. But I mean, it's a little different with football. You're an 18-year-old kid playing men. It's like I kind of reference it like putting a freshman in a varsity game.
Not some of the players that are in college now as freshmen.
Right? I mean, it's crazy how some of this stuff has evolved. But
some of these guys
could look at guys like LeBron, Kobe, Kevin Garnett was one of those guys that just made that jump.
What NFL? What college play? They used to say back when I was a kid that if they had the ability to come out of high school, and back in basketball, you wouldn't even know his name, but Moses Malone was famous center. He came right out of high school.
76ers, right?
Yes. Yeah, he came right out of high school, and they used to say, "What NFL player could have played right out of high school?" And you know what everybody said? Guy who could have did it. I don't know if you know. You're talking 70s, 80s here. So this is.
See, I was thinking like a Herschel Walker.
They didn't say him. No, they said, even though obviously he was pretty physical, but they didn't say it. They said Earl Campbell.
Yeah.
They said Earl Campbell was a man as a freshman.
Could you imagine trying to tackle that guy?
The thighs on him.
You think about it as a safety. Oh, boy, I got to deal with this guy one-on-one. Always you're big as a safety, one-on-one in space with anybody is tough. But a guy like that could shift you, but is probably going to run you over. You know what I mean? And it's, what do I do?
I just got electrical shock in my ear. So
that's all right. Maybe it'll keep you from yawning today.
This will keep me from yawning right here.
Like, think about it. I always thought about it because it was my era when I was playing, like having to tackle Reggie Bush in space.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I could always picture like him running a stretch play, getting the ball, and me as a safety rolling down, to fill the alley.
Gives you the wiggle.
Oh boy. You know what I mean? Like, what do I like? And I mean, you talking about a wiggle, you're talking about he could jump over you, he was one of those guys too. Like, here we go.
The best wiggle of all time, Barry Sanders. Come on now.
Could you imagine that?
No one has wiggle like that.
The Detroit Lions literally eliminated certain guys' careers because they were so bad. Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson. I mean, these guys.
Matthew Stafford, although he's been there a long time.
I heard a rumor today. Where do you think Matthew Stafford is going to go?
I don't know. I just heard there's 12 quarterbacks that want out.
Matthew Stafford to the Patriots.
Whoa, that would be a good one. Matthew Stafford could go to the Patriots, Troy.
See, a lot of people, I think, see him just transitioning right to the Indianapolis. They say the Colts are right there. They're a quarterback away. Phillip Rivers came in for a year. Great job. But kind of at the end of the run, you put Matthew Stafford in there, he's going dome to dome. So he's still playing inside. And he's got some weapons with
Dome to dome, New England?
No, I'm saying if he went to the Colts, that's the number 2 team that you're hearing is Matthew Stafford to the Colts. Put him with Frank Reich.
Interesting.
Deuce Staley has left the Eagles and will be part of the new Lions staff.
Deuce Staley has left the Eagles. Interesting.
Well, he didn't get the head job, and then the guy they brought in is obviously not his guy.
Can you explain to me what the Cap Football Academy is? Is that like a JUCO? What is it? I don't know. They're playing Sussex.
What's the name of it? So it's a JUCO.
I guess it's down here. They're playing in Manasquan.
What's the name of the team?
Cap Football Academy?
Never heard of it.
I never heard of it.
Now, we were talking East Coast Prep a couple weeks ago, right? One of my former players at Mount Olive is going there for a year. That's a prep school, I believe.
Yeah, that's where who's going there?
One of my former players from Mount Olive.
That's where what's his name went last year. That's where Kai went.
He was Morris County player, offensive lineman of the year. He got all that stuff, but I was kind of prep school or JUCO is kind of the route that some of these guys are taking, and I don't think people really understand the difference. So maybe you could go into that a little bit and just kind of explain the difference between a prep school and a JUCO.
Well, a JUCO,
just as a little bit of information for some of the people
prep
that
school, you don't lose that. It's basically another year of
high school
for high school. So you don't lose a year of eligibility at the collegiate level, whereas every year that you're in junior college, you do.
Right. So if you're a JUCO, you're basically playing your freshman and sophomore year, and then you're going to transfer to a school and play your junior, senior year. Right?
Correct.
Whereas a prep school, you
and
go
then JUCO,
basically extending your high school, and then
correct.
You can go into a college as a freshman.
Correct.
Right. And who would you say? I think you're going to say the same one I do, because I don't think there's many up around here JUCO schools. As far as kind of local, you would think Lackawanna Junior College, correct?
Yeah, local would be Lackawanna, absolutely.
I know now. Now Sussex County College has recently started a JUCO team, and this will be their first season up and coming. So I think that's another option for guys that are kind of around here if that's the way they want to go. But they need to understand that if you're playing JUCO, you're losing years of eligibility. I think some guys get confused with that. A lot of guys in JUCO are there to kind of improve their grades. Maybe they didn't do the right thing in high school. They just need another year to kind of get ready. But I can remember at Montclair State, every single year we would have a game scrimmage at the end of camp against Lackawanna. And
Montclair, you did?
Yeah, and we would be. I mean, I'm telling you, man, I played against some straight dudes. I mean, there was guys on those teams that were already signed to go to, Virginia or Florida State, big time Division I schools, and they were kind of at Lackawanna to just kind of get it together, I guess. So I was playing against some freak shows, man. I mean, that was always a real tough game. But it was excellent for us as a game scrimmage to kind of go against that high level competition to get ready for the season. But man, that's how we ended camp, and it was a doozy every year.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And they were good enough. They were good enough to. I guess they'd have some D1 guys.
There was always probably about 90 to 100 kids on that sideline for on their sideline. Oh man,
how many would you guys have on a season?
Well, the NJAC conference itself, Division III conference, has a cap. You can only bring 120 kids to camp. When I was there, it was lower. It was only 100. So we would bring 100 to camp, and then you're always thinking, you got about 5 or 6 that usually quit. They don't usually like football or whatever by the end of camp, so you lose them. You figure you lose a couple other guys to, injuries or whatnot. So I'd say we would probably start the season around 80.
Right.
And then obviously it dwindles from there, guys, with school, with life. I mean, we would probably finish each season around 70 to 80 guys. But because the NJAC was different back then, capping how many people you can bring to camp, you kind of have to make certain decisions, If you pull up lame at one point, I mean, you could be going without a punter, just because guys get hurt. Or quarterbacks, my first year there, they had 2 quarterbacks go down in camp, and all of a sudden you're looking at a third guy who's like a freshman, and then there's nobody behind him. So you would just be looking for guys that, maybe played quarterback in high school that could just get the job done. I mean, it was a really weird and awkward situation, but part of Division III football, just kind of how it is. Now, other conferences don't do that. Mount Union, they got 180 guys at camp. They can just bring in whoever. So that's what's a little different about that Division III conference in the NJAC with, you got Keene, you got Rowan, those types of schools. TCNJ, kind of cap it, and you can only have a certain number, which limits you in recruiting and in the way you play the game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I Lackawanna. So to answer the question, one of the important things with the JUCO that's different is that if you didn't qualify academically for Division I, qualify academically,
is that like clearinghouse stuff?
For as far as in order to be eligible,
right,
to play, then you have to do 2 years at JUCO if you go JUCO. So that's the reason why
2 years.
You have to do 2 years.
So
that's why
automatically locked in.
That's why people like the prep school route.
Right, because you have the option after 1 year to say, I got an offer, I'm gone.
Right, if you can improve your GPA. The other thing is
that's a little wild situation.
Right. And then now if you are
academic, I guess that's why Last Chance U was such a phenomenal series on Netflix, because the life of a JUCO student is a little different. You saw that in the show where you're bringing guys in from different cultures, different areas, and for that show, they were, where are they? The middle of Kansas, right? Weren't they out there? And you're taking these guys from elements and areas that aren't like that and putting them there. And they're basically there. Look, do your schoolwork, play football, done deal. That's all you have to do. But there's really, you're talking kids doing crazy stuff like any college,
Yeah, no doubt. So the other thing was so the second thing with that is that if you do qualify academically and you go to a JUCO, you can leave after the first year.
Right. That's the advantage to it.
No, it's not an advantage. JUCO is not an advantage at all. There's no advantage to JUCO, or The only advantage to JUCO is you're playing at a higher level of competition.
You're getting ready.
What's that?
You're getting ready. Like, you know, the guys to your left and your right are going to be somewhere.
Not as maybe, yeah. I mean, your games are a higher level, definitely.
Right. You're playing against the guy that, he's going to Mississippi State, or that guy's going to Alabama, that guy's going to Florida, and we're playing against them. So a lot of what JUCO is, I think, is tape, which makes it kind of tough as a coach in my eyes.
Most people who go to JUCO are not good students. Okay.
So you're dealing with that element as well.
Right. They have to improve academically. Prep school also could be that situation, but prep school don't lose eligibility. I'm not a fan of prep school if you already have an offer, or if you I don't have a good enough offer thing.
Right, I'm going to go there to try and get something better.
I don't think that changes very much. If you're going to reclass, you need to do it earlier.
So you think as a sophomore or a junior in high school, that's the time to reclass?
The only time you go to a prep school is these guys who got to improve their grades. For JUCO, you go there if you maybe are a late bloomer. If you're
that kid that doesn't turn 18 until
Aaron Rodgers would be a good example.
I believe what's his name from Buffalo did the same thing.
Josh Allen, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I think Wyoming was his only offer, man.
Yeah, it's a risk.
So here's my question. Troy becomes this whatever freak show.
Okay.
But he doesn't have enough offer. Do you send him to prep or JUCO?
And he's a good student?
Solid student.
Neither.
He's really good in math, but he doesn't like books.
Neither.
You send him right to college. Go.
Right, go to college.
I think that decision,
whatever level you're at, man.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's very
now. JUCO they do make sense for certain instances and people in different situations. So everyone's in different situation.
Right.
You're asking me my situation,
right? It's a case
my situation that is going to be basically. This is from a family planning standpoint. Is we sock away money every year for Troy's education. So, So, I mean,
that's how much it's going to cost, right? You think about it.
Yeah. So, I'm not, now everyone's in different situations.
Right.
So
it's a case by case situation. That's
I think that's what you should do. And then if you get a scholarship, then great. I mean, it's a
bonus.
Now? Okay.
Hi, Nicole.
Derek said hi.
She loves me.
He said you love him. Oh. That would be like a good time for like a Receiver Arch commercial. Like when they come down the stairs or something.
I just think Nicole should join. We should have a segment with Nicole talking about, I don't know, whatever she wants to talk about. She could come up with something good.
So you know what I wanted to talk about today? I wanted to see if we could figure out the top players. Now we've done quarterbacks, so we don't need to do that again. But the top players at positions of all time.
Oh, okay.
In the NFL,
we've done quarterbacks. I think we did running backs too at one point.
I think we did running backs, so we don't have to do those two again. So let's go right to what did we do? Wide receivers?
I think we kind of did because you and I were talking Jerry Rice, Randy Moss.
I think that was just a debate, Randy Moss versus Jerry Rice.
Because I think we both agreed that they're two different types of receivers.
Yeah, let's start with wide receivers.
Okay, so we're going wide receivers, greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time, wide receivers.
Obviously, Jerry Rice is going to be in
I didn't even realize we have people in the chat here too.
Oh, it's Chris, man. Chris is joining in.
Hey, what's going on, Deshaun, and what's going on, Chris?
Chris is the man.
Perhaps and Chris is right. He's right on that.
He's always right.
Chris, we gonna see Pope John?
I got some insider information, baby.
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to release it in here.
I got some names though. I mean, it's interesting.
Let's see. Okay, wide receivers. You ready? Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
I'll start running with it. I like your shirt, by the way. Yeah.
I can't wait.
I like Chris's response. I
want to know if you're gonna if NUC pays for my flight to Alaska.
No, we already have a guy that's going to Alaska. He's the one that asked for it.
That's amazing.
Well, we had at the
dude. I think that's so cool.
We had at the All-American game, I think 4 or 5 kids from Alaska.
I just think that's so
cool. They were from the top program in the state of Alaska.
Like you're going to talk about you're running an event. Where are you doing it? Juneau?
No. We already have Mr. King Kova saying Randy Moss. So it's at a high school.
And we're gonna talk about this at some other point. Why are there no high school mascots that are the Cobras?
Because dodgeball ruined it.
Cobras are
my other ear now.
Troy probably did some crazy things here.
All
right, let's go.
I love it. Yeah. So here we go. Let's go. People are into this. We got another comment.
Kidding, because the debate is always
so let's go. Let's get right into it. Wide receiver. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's get to the people's choice here. So I'll go first.
I mean, you already got 2, man. Randy Moss, Jerry Rice.
I'm gonna give you number 1. Okay. Oh no, we're gonna go number 5 first. 5,
okay,
right?
So we'll work. I got it.
Okay. Let me so I just have a quick reference.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you got to pull up some kind of list
because there is a I already know
we can do this. We can do all-time receivers, and then we'll do current in the league guys. We'll break it up that way.
Okay. All right. Let me just. All right. I got a good pull up of. Let's see.
Another one. Warlock Maine says Rice, no question.
Right. All right. So we're gonna go.
That's two for Rice already.
All right. I'm gonna go. I
gotta pull something up then.
All right. I'm gonna go with number 5. Okay. You ready?
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Some people aren't gonna know who these guys are.
That's all right. This is what we do.
Okay. Number 5.
Dude, some of these guys are so gonna get lost.
Number 5.
Go ahead.
Don Hudson.
Okay, I have no idea who that is.
Green Bay Packers, played in the 30s and 40s. Okay. Just to give you kind of an idea of how far ahead of his time he was. He had 99 receiving touchdowns. It took 40 years for anyone to surpass it.
Okay. That's pretty good.
All right. So I think he's got to be number 5.
Got it.
A lot of old timers have some other guys on there. I don't think any of those guys could have played in the modern game. The only guy who I think, if you kind of put him from the old time here, is Don Hudson. Okay. He had so many catches. If he wasn't good enough to be on the outside in today's game, they would have put him on the inside. Great route runner, blah, 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 blah. He was kind of the Babe Ruth of receivers back then.
Man, there's some guys on this list, bro.
Okay. All right. So there you go. So that's number 5.
Got it. Go.
Okay. Number 4, I'm going to go with Larry Fitzgerald.
Still in the league, man.
Okay. Larry Fitzgerald.
What college?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I know. Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh.
You're looking at it.
No, I'm not. I didn't look at it. Pittsburgh. And we got another guy chimed in on Rice also.
That's 3.
That's 3. Pittsburgh is where Larry. Am I right?
Yeah, Pitt.
Okay. So
Do you know
Larry.
what number he wore? Woo!
God, I don't know. 1?
I think he did wear. I thought he wore 3. Might have worn 1.
I don't know, but I keep getting shocked in my ears. So if
I
something bad
want
happens,
those. That's dope. Like you get a little
something bad happens, just go call 911. Okay, so
Troy.
Troy knows. He already knows.
Great.
All right.
So you got Don Hudson at 5, Larry Fitz at 4.
Larry Fitzgerald at number 4. Okay. Number 3. Let me think about this. I'm debating my number 3
God, there's so many.
because I'm conflicted on a couple of guys.
There's a lot of names, man.
I think.
This is good. This is good.
All right, I'll tell you who my candidates are for number 3.
Come on, let's go.
All right.
Stop looking stuff up.
Well,
Ooh, you got some.
I'm gonna go with a guy that no one's gonna think is
You
number
got some
3.
blowback on the comments.
I'm gonna go with someone that no one thinks is number 3.
Do it. It's your list.
Larry Fitz. T.O. is a pain in the butt. He's definitely better than him. T.O. had at his best, maybe could do things that a lot of people couldn't do.
But on a consistent.
I mean, he underachieved. You can't be in the top 5 if you underachieved.
Is T.O. better than Keyshawn Johnson?
Yes. Keyshawn Johnson was good, but Keyshawn, like T.O. could outrun you. Keyshawn really couldn't outrun you.
Keyshawn top 10? All time?
Is Keyshawn top 10 all time?
Or is he
No,
like 11 or 12?
So. I think you got guys like.
He's like 11 or 12. All right, well, who's 3?
No one's going to like this, but
Let's
this is
go.
why I think.
That's not what this is about.
Michael Irvin.
I like it. He's on my list.
Michael Irvin is number 3.
Okay. I'm not putting him 3, but
Okay.
he's on my list.
Michael Irvin made big plays, could stretch the field.
Big hands, right? Huge hands.
Was easily the best receiver of his era. If he didn't break his neck, he probably would have played for another 2 or 3 years. Okay. And he played for the U, which just makes it all the more better. Okay. Number 2. And you're going to know both of these.
Yep, this is where it comes down.
We had this kind of debate.
Yep.
Number 2 is Randy Moss. Okay.
Which means number 1,
Right.
number 80.
Right. Randy Moss is number 2. Here's what Randy Moss was. Randy Moss was a better version of a little bit better version of Michael Irvin. Like a little more speed.
Bigger.
I don't know if he was bigger, but he was taller.
Yeah,
right.
He was
longer.
A
little bit faster. I don't know if he had better hands. Randy Moss every once in a while would drop something.
T.O. not even in the top 5.
No, he's not in my top 5, man.
He's not my top 5 either.
But I love Randy Moss. He was exciting. I loved him when he was at Marshall after he got thrown out of 2 other schools. And
Two
then
other monster schools.
And I love that he's from West Virginia. I love that, meaning that he comes from the tiniest town ever, and that his quarterback in high school is Jason Williams, the basketball player.
White chocolate.
What do they call him? White chocolate?
White chocolate.
Okay.
He's got white boy tattooed across his knuckles.
Does he really?
Yeah. I told you. He was my guy in high school.
It's based on a lot of things. It's also based on number 5. No one can take any. Megatron. Megatron I liked a lot, but he's top 10.
Listen, man.
Megatron, Theo,
I'd put
are
Marvin
probably top
Harrison
10, but is Julio Jones better already? No? Okay. Well, we're not even on that. So number 2 is Randy Moss, and number one is Jerry Rice. Championships, number of catches, and ahead of a time. And I'll give you one of my big factors, okay, in the top 5. Larry Fitzgerald gets in not just because of production, but longevity, which is amazing.
Like, he's still producing.
Yes.
And for me, he's played every spot. You can put him in the slot.
Yes.
You can put him outside, and he's still doing that. You know, you never saw T.O. come from the slot.
And then the 3, no. He did play a little.
You never saw Randy Moss in the slot.
You didn't need to. He didn't need to go in the slot.
One-on-one.
The three. So the 3 guys, like Alex says, the only guy I got right was Jerry Rice. The three guys. So number 5, Don Hudson, Jerry Rice, and at number 1, and number 2, Randy Moss, and I might even say number 3 with Michael Irvin. All the 4 of the 5 guys I chose were all way ahead of their time.
Absolutely, they did something. They changed the game.
Don Hudson, nobody who's on this list is even going to know who he is. But if it takes anyone 40 years to break someone's record,
you're doing something right.
That's pretty good. That means he stopped playing at 45, just to give you an idea. That means 1990. Okay. So, and then the second, obviously, Michael Irvin was ahead of his time as far as being able to do everything as a receiver. And then Randy Moss, the ability to stretch the field. He was the first guy that could stretch the field all the time and then also catch a lot of balls. See, if you go back to Bullet Bob Hayes for the Dallas Cowboys back in the 60s.
That was his name?
Bullet Bob Hayes, who was the Olympic champion, by the way, in a 100-meter dash, ran 9.9. Bullet Bob Hayes could stretch the field, but he wasn't a great pass catcher. So, you know, that's why someone like him didn't make the top 5. And then, obviously, Jerry Rice, unbelievable receiver, unbelievable
longevity as well.
He caught more balls before anybody else did, so on and so forth. And his longevity. That's it, man. So, you know, who if you were starting a team, who are the guys you want to have? Would you start a team and put T.O. on that team? No.
Would you put Keyshawn on that team? No. So,
all right, go ahead. Top 5. You're 5.
I'll work down. Number 1.
You're going to go 1 to 5. Okay.
Jerry Rice. Hands down. Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice. I thought we had this debate, and I thought you were on.
No, I like Jerry Rice. The fact that, listen, I love guys that can blow the top off. Love it. You know what I'm saying? Big play guys, whatever. But for a guy like Jerry Rice, who just revolutionized the position itself and worked so much technique.
Route running.
That's all it's about. 2 for me is obviously Randy Moss. People are going to think we're in cahoots here because that's where I was putting Michael Irvin as well as number 3. You know?
Oh, okay. So you have 1, 2, 3 is exactly the same. Exactly 4 and 5, there's no way.
No way. So number 4, I'm putting Marvin Harrison.
I liked Marvin Harrison. I'm thinking of him as like a 6 or 7. I have to think about it, but yes, I love Marvin Harrison.
I mean, he was another guy that
Jerry Rice light.
Yes, you know, and look, you can obviously see my trend. You can see my trend here in the fact that, you know, guys that just produce and really became students and worked their craft. You know what I'm saying? These guys weren't the fastest. They weren't the biggest. I mean, look at Marvin Harrison, man. I mean, but he got open. You know what I'm saying? And him and Peyton were just on such a page together. They would do certain things that were just incredible. So that's my number 4 is Marvin Harrison. And look, you could throw to me 5 is kind of like, it's kind of a toss up, man. I mean, you can look at so many of these guys, the TOs, the Fitzgeralds, the Megatrons, I even think about a guy like a Chris Carter, even like and the other guy I loved. I mean, you can look at like an Andre Johnson. What about,
No.
Steve
Andre
Smith?
Johnson for a short time was really good.
Like Steve Smith, Hines Ward.
No.
Some of these guys, even guys like going back like Sterling Sharp, if he didn't get hurt.
Sterling Sharp was on pace, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
But he got hurt.
What about a guy like Andre Reed?
Not dynamic enough.
Keyshawn obviously has to be somewhere there. What about an Andre Rison? The thing about receivers is
Andre Rison was very good. Unfortunately, he let Left Eye burn his house down.
I mean, look,
I don't think he wanted.
I would argue for guys like Wes Welker.
Isaac Bruce is better.
A guy like what about Lynn Swan?
Lynn Swan, but if you look at Lynn Swan's numbers, he was a big player.
You're basing it on numbers. I mean, what about Drew Pearson?
Because Steve Largent,
Drew Pearson,
Steve Largent, Art Monk. If you're going catches before their time, Art Monk and Steve Largent are right up there. They were both leaders in catches way ahead of their time.
I mean, Biletnikoff
was way ahead of his time.
So all that
I'm
stuff
friends with him on Facebook, by the way.
All that stuff being said, I think honestly, number 5 for me has to be Chris Carter.
Oh, I don't see it. Really?
Yep. I mean, and then literally it's kind of a Rolodex for me. If after 5, I mean, I think T.O. has to be somewhere in there. Keyshawn has to be someone in there. Steve Smith has to be someone in there. What about Reggie Wayne? Wes Welker?
No.
I think Reggie Wayne has to be in there somewhere. I think Lynn Swan.
Reggie Wayne's numbers are good.
Lynn Swan's
numbers are good.
Has to be Tim Brown, longevity, plays forever.
Isaac Bruce does have a ton of yards.
What about? Yeah, but he probably had a lot of those yards in like 2 years.
Not true.
What about like
he had 1,000 yards?
What about Torrey Holt?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times he had 1,000 yards.
What about Torrey Holt?
Torrey Holt is in the top 20 in yards. See, the modern era of throwing too.
It's so skewed.
It's skewed. So, people want to know this, but Art Monk, Steve Largent, in their time, they were by far the biggest receivers as far as number of catches. Now you got guys. James Lofton had an unbelievable career.
So here, I'm looking at a list right here by
14,000 yards.
Here's the top 25 by
average 18.3 catch.
Athlon Sports. Okay. Top 25. We'll just go through it. Number 25, Lynn Swan. 24, Sterling Sharp. 23, Reggie Wayne. 22, Steve Smith. 21, Isaac Bruce. 20 is Andre Johnson. 19, Hines Ward. Andre Reed. 18, Raymond Berry. 17.
Raymond Berry was great.
Tim Brown, 16. Marvin Harrison, 15. Michael Irvin is 14 on this list.
Wow. Okay.
Fred Biletnikoff, 13. James Lofton, number 12.
Here's what I thought was so impressive about
Charlie Joyner.
He was great.
11. Lance Allworth, 10.
He was great. Lance Allworth's great.
Art Monk, 9. Chris Carter, 8. Randy Moss, they have as number 7.
7.
T.O. is 6 on this list.
Okay.
Fitzgerald's 5. Hudson's 4. Calvin Johnson is 3.
Calvin Johnson.
Steve Largent is 2. Jerry Rice is 1.
Steve Largent is 2.
They have him as number 2. 200 games, 819 receptions for 13,000 yards, 100 TDs.
That's a lot of TDs.
He held every major receiving record when he retired and was the first player to catch 100 touchdown passes.
Yeah. I mean, he was great. I debated Steve Largent. Michael Irvin. So I'm gonna give you my only issue with Michael Irvin in my top, having him in my top 5 and making him number 3, was he didn't score 1,000,000 touchdowns. Okay, so let me give you Michael Irvin's. He didn't play long. He played 11 years. Okay. And the only reason he didn't play beyond that is because he had the neck injury. Otherwise, he would have still been going. All right, here we go. Michael Irvin. This was his stats in consecutive years from 91 to 98. 99 was when he got hurt.
Got it.
91, 93 catches, 1,523 yards. 92, 78 catches, 1,396 yards. 93, 88 catches, 1,330 yards. 94, 79 catches, 1,241 yards. 95, 111 catches, 1,603 yards. 96, 64 catches, 962 yards. The only reason he didn't break 1,000 is because he was hurt for 5 games. Okay? He only played in 11 games that year. 97, 75 catches for 1,180 yards. 98, 74 catches for 1,057 yards. And next year he broke his neck in the 5th game, and that was the end of his career.
So we have
pretty damn good.
In the chat here, it's another one says Rice, Moss, T.O., Fitz, Largent.
Rice, Moss, T.O.,
Fitz, Largent.
All right, let's look at T.O. T.O.'s pretty impressive.
Don't count his time with Seattle.
He did have 153 touchdown catches.
Hey,
I guess I just have a problem with T.O. because of and maybe we are shafting T.O. Okay?
How about one name we haven't mentioned for a while?
T.O.'s consecutive years numbers. You ready? But every year he ends up being a problem somewhere and he gets moved out. But his production, San Francisco, 67. Actually, I'll start his second year. 60 catches, 936. 67, 1,097. 60 for 754. 97, 1451. 93, 1412. 100 for 1,300. 80 for 1102. 77 for 1,200. Then he threw a 47 in for 763, only in 7 games, whatever happened there. 85 for 1,180 with Dallas, 81 for 1,355 with Dallas, 69 for 1,052 with Dallas, 55 for 829, 72 for 983. Basically got worked out of there because he was a pain in the butt, not because he wasn't good enough anymore. So pretty impressive consecutive years there.
Listen, I think a name that is always going to be forgotten for whatever. How about Ocho Cinco? For a while, Chad Johnson was the dude.
What's that?
Ocho Cinco. Chad Johnson. For a while, he was the guy.
Yeah, you know about Megatron?
Ocho Cinco.
Oh, Ocho Cinco. Not even in the Chad Johnson's 36th in yards. I mean, he's not even in the ballpark.
He did kick an extra point.
He was a great receiver.
How about can we look at Wes Welker's numbers?
Wes Welker's numbers.
It's the Schuman eye.
Some sort of controversy.
The Schuman eye. Is he swinging?
Something along those lines. Okay, so Wes Welker. He's not listed in yards. Unless I'm missing him. Wes Welker.
Where do you go to college?
Wes Welker, Texas Tech.
Guns up.
Where's that? I don't see. He's not listed in the top things. Geez, Henry Ellard, 1,377 yards. I think he played for the Rams.
Let's do. Okay, so how about
Andre Johnson, better career. Reggie Wayne didn't have a heck of a career. I mean, there's a lot of guys.
Wayne's in the Hall of Fame.
You know, once everybody started chucking the ball around, that's kind of like a tough. See, the 90s, they didn't chuck it around that much.
Running backs, man.
You know, like.
All right,
I mean, Jerry Rice's numbers are just mind blowing. He did play for 9,000 years, but
let's transition.
All right, tight ends. Are we going to next?
No, we're going to wide receivers right now.
Wide receivers right now.
My number one, DeAndre Hopkins. I got Hopkins. Adams. Adams is my 2.
Devontae Adams.
And then you got
I don't know.
Hill.
Who's the best right now?
DeAndre Hopkins. $100%.
All right,
Hopkins all the way.
So all right, give me a list. Hopkins who?
Hopkins, Adams, Hill, Mike Evans, and then Julio Jones. DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill.
Who's the best career-wise, or who's the best like you want on your team now?
This is just what I'm saying. And then right behind them, I got, and it could be right there, man, is Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen. Those guys are beasts.
All right, I got to go.
You got to look.
I just like to look at all the available people. I got to go.
Okay, I got Warlock Maine says I wouldn't contest that. Thank you. He likes the list.
Well, hey, you want to be a crowd pleaser? Great job.
I'm not a crowd pleaser. These are guys that I think can get done.
So here's who I think.
I could watch.
I would go Hopkins.
I could watch Devontae Adams, his tape, and just it's amazing.
All right, I'll go Hopkins, Hill, Michael Thomas, Julio Jones. Adams runs better routes than Mike.
Justin, one of our chat guys, Don. Justin Jefferson's gonna be a guy. He's gonna.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go as far as what they've done so far. I'm gonna say Mike Evans. That's my 5.
Yeah.
I just like Hill's explosiveness. I don't think
you don't have Adams on your list.
I have him 6.
Don, I think Justin Jefferson is going to be
7. Justin
Jefferson's going to be
8. Diggs 8.
Diggs is right there, man. I'm telling you, like I could easily put Diggs in that.
Diggs, I think is 8. You know, let's
Keenan
see.
Allen,
Another one says Hopkins, Adams, Diggs, Hill, Julio. Yep.
I think a lot of. I think it's. I definitely think it's easier now to pick certain guys.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, because you kind of have
right there too is Amari Cooper.
He's close.
You know who I really like? Who's like nobody? Jarvis Landry, bro.
Jarvis Landry's great. He's just
Love
consistent.
Is Odell in your top 10? Uh-huh.
The last couple of years he hasn't done much. If you asked me 2
since-
years ago, he would have been.
Ever since that game against the Carolina Panthers, where he lost his mind against what's his name who was covering him, and he just lost. It's been downhill for him since that game. And I was there at the game, and I watched him just. I've never seen a professional lose their mind like that. It was something to experience, that's for sure. But yeah, so our lists are pretty consistent. Other than the fact that my number 2 isn't even in your top 5. I think we both agree. We both agree on Hopkins. Obviously, that guy's just a freak of nature. Tyreek Hill, he's up there. Obviously, I mean, you see him every single week doing it. I think it'll be really exciting in the Super Bowl to see Hill and Evans on.
I like Tyreek Hill's TikToks with his girlfriend. Hilarious.
So glad I'm not on TikTok.
Yeah,
I can only imagine. Is Julio Jones trending down though?
Did I put Julio Jones in my top 5?
Number 4.
Yeah.
You got Michael Thomas in there, and he basically played the entire year hurt as hell.
I like Michael Thomas.
He literally was getting like 5 surgeries done as soon as the season ended.
Julio Jones is probably towards the end. Last couple of years, I don't know.
Who's better? Right? Which Alabama receiver is better right now? Amari Cooper.
He's so big though. He could become a different receiver. When you're that big, I think he could stay longer because you can use your body.
Like Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, you could adapt to like if you're purely a speed guy and your speed goes out, then you got a different issue.
Will Tyreek Hill lose his speed?
Will Tyreek Hill lose his speed?
Is Tyreek Hill?
He's got more speed than anybody.
Is he still Tyreek Hill in 3 years?
Yes. He's not going to lose his speed for a while, unless he gets injured. Injury, you never know.
All it's going to take is one torn ACL, knock on wood. All right, so current receivers of all time. And current receivers right now and top receivers of all time.
Let's go to tight ends.
Ooh, you want to go to the big daddies?
Yeah, since we're on the kind of receiver guys, the tight ends.
Tight end position has changed.
Tight end position has changed. That's what makes it tough.
Like, are you going to put Mike Ditka on this list?
I think Ditka, it might be. I am going to pull up. I'm going to confess.
Like Kellen Winslow?
Like, I'm going to pull up a top.
Me too.
What other people
I don't think I can name all-time tight ends. Like, who's the guy from the Giants? Bavaro?
No, not in it. Not in it. I know who number 1 is. So I already know who number 1
Yeah,
is.
Shannon Sharp.
No.
Really?
No, he's not number 1.
He's not on your list?
No, he's well, where are we going with the top 5?
Top 5 tight ends of
I think he probably makes that list, but it's there's tight ends tough, man. Tight ends tough, different guys, skill sets.
Antonio Gates has to be in there.
Yeah, of course. All right, so I guess
think Gronk is Gronk in there. Gronk's my number 5.
Gronk's won a lot of Super Bowls.
My number 1.
Are you going number 1? I'll let you go first.
Tony Gonzalez.
Absolutely number 1. Not even close.
Number 2 is Gates.
Okay.
Number 3. I got to take a look at this one because this one's tough.
You pulled up the Athlon list.
This one's tough, man. 3, because we're going all time.
All time.
3 has to be Shannon Sharp. So Tony Gonzalez 1, Gates 2, Sharp 3, and I think I got to go with Jason Witten as 4, and then Gronk 5.
Okay, I'm gonna stick with my theme, guys. Guys who changed the game.
No, oh, here we go. That means Ditka's on this list. Kellen Winslow's on this list. Gonzalez is your number one. I'll let you go. You go. Go ahead. I see the smoke coming out of your head. I don't know if it's your earbuds or if it's actual thinking.
Okay. Number 5 is Ditka. Hands down, the best blocking tight end of all time. No one's close.
So he should have just been a tackle.
But still had 43 touchdowns in a time when you never threw the ball.
Right. I get it.
Mike Ditka was an animal.
Got it.
He was Gronk before Gronk.
Okay. All
which is why Gronk is not on this list.
Okay.
All right. Number 4, Kellen Winslow.
The daddy.
Kellen Winslow is the first person to do all these things as a tight end that you now see Gronk doing. He lined up as a receiver. He lined up as tight end. He was a probably first ballot Pro Bowler, just like Mike Ditka. Okay. Number 3 is really hard because I choose number 3, one of the guys who I think are really good, there's actually 2 that don't get in. Okay. Number 3 is, I hate to say it, but I got to go with it, Shannon Sharp.
Who was that? Sharp was your what?
3.
Who was 4?
4 was Winslow. 5 was Ditka. Okay.
2 more, buddy.
All right. So 3. Shannon Sharp was
such a big mouth.
Yeah, he was so good, though. He literally was like a receiver. Like, I mean, he was on a team that didn't throw that much, and he had a bazillion catches. So, I don't know. I mean, he won, 2 Super Bowls?
Yeah.
8-time Pro Bowler. That's probably more than any of these guys.
And the fact that he won one with the Ravens.
Yep. Number 2, Antonio Gates.
Yep.
Production, I would say, is the biggest thing with him.
And then you got the big daddy number 1.
And then number 1, to me, it's
Tony G.
It's not close. You know, he is the best tight end of all time. It's not close. And he was actually a great blocker as well.
Hell yeah. He had them long arms. I mean, he was just physical.
You know, that's what made him so effective. He was a great receiver, and he was
and
a great
the fact
blocker.
that he was like a great person.
He's a great, yes.
Great human being.
Antonio Gates wasn't a great blocker. Excellent receiver. I shafted the Gronk, who I am a fan of. I shafted Ozzie Newsome. He didn't get in there. 3 being Shannon Sharp. I just think Shannon Sharp was Kellen Winslow part 2. And then Kellen Winslow part 3 was Antonio Gates. And now Gronk is like is kind of like Gronk is more like a Gonzalez / Ditka / Ozzie Newsome. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like that style. Shannon Sharp is like the Kellen Winslow style. Good enough blocker, strong, but great receiver. Kellen Winslow, great receiver. Was a decent blocker at times, but his receiving was unbelievable. And then I told you, Ditka was the best blocker of all of these guys, but he was an unstoppable receiver. I mean, I'd like to see people today, tackle him.
What guys about like are we shafting like a Jeremy Shockey?
Guys who didn't make the list, no. John Mackey.
You're not a Jeremy Shockey fan.
He was pretty good for a little while.
Kellen Winslow Jr.
No, with Kellen Winslow Jr. No, I mean
Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham is probably in the top 15. Jason Witten's probably top 10.
Bavaro.
I didn't think of him top.
Here's
No.
one. Here's one for you. Ben Coates.
Ben Coates was very good for. I'll give you two guys that
I'll give you one that I thought you were going to name.
Who?
Jay Novacek.
I like Jay Novacek. He was great. He was a great receiver. He's definitely top 15. Dallas Clark, I like. Keith Jackson was a great receiver. I don't know how long he lasted, but he was great.
What about Mackey?
Do you know where Keith Jackson went to played college ball?
You see, here's the thing. You got to look at some of these trophies and what they're named after, and those guys probably should be on the list.
Mackey. Well, Mackey was great. He revolutionized tight end along with Mike Ditka.
All right, so now let's transition. Let's go current tight ends.
Current tight. Well, no, I know who number 1 is.
Who's that?
Are you kidding me? Travis Kelce.
Okay, but I want to know your 2.
Zach Ertz.
That's my. We're matching up right now.
Number 3.
It's not. This one won't be the same.
You know, it does hurt that I didn't put Jay Novacek in there as a Cowboy fan.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I thought like that.
But I just know his numbers. I know he didn't last that long. By the way, Jay Novacek was a national level decathlete, and do you know where he went to college?
I don't know, bro.
Wyoming.
Zach. You're on 3. You got Ertz. You got Kelce at 1. Ertz at 2.
Kelce 1. Ertz at 2. Gronk. Well.
Wow, if you're gonna do that, then that's really weird because we'll be lined up.
Yeah, I think Gronk's 3.
Oh my God! Look at us on the same page.
All right, so now 4 and 5 is tough.
No, I think 4. My 4 could easily be 3. If not, he may be 2. Kittle.
Yeah, George Kittle.
He's my 4, but could easily be, I think, a 3 or a 2. That mustache alone puts him up a couple spots.
I'm gonna give you a fifth. The 5th guy.
My 5 is gonna shock
you. You won't pick who I have as 5. Well,
I don't know. My 5.
Well, I would agree with you with Kittle at 4. Also, I'm in agreement on that. My 5 is someone that probably people don't have.
My 5 people definitely don't have.
Mike Gesicki.
Are you serious? How are we lined up? Literally 1 through 5.
You have Mike Gesicki?
Swear to God.
No way.
I've loved him, not just because we now live where he's from, but I've followed him at Penn State. He was a freak of nature at Penn State. He went into the league, little adjustment period. You know what I'm saying? Now year 2, 3, he's starting to get it. Watch out because he's going to be right up there with those big dogs. I'm telling you right now. And I think you're obviously on the same page as me.
I like here. So let's see. Anthony McKinney played tight end in the league, and his son went to Dartmouth, and he played with me at UConn. I see he like Mackey.
What's up, Anthony?
Yep. It's if you can catch balls and block, which is definitely.
Listen, I'll tell you right now.
Todd Christensen, who Warlock had Todd Christensen, which he was unbelievable. Todd Christensen. You know what? I might have had that wrong. Maybe Todd Christensen was Wyoming.
Jay
Novacek was Wyoming.
When you lean that way, you go out of the screen.
Yeah, I know. Am I out of the screen right now?
No, you're good. I'll just let you know.
Jay Novacek played at. Let me see if I'm right. Was I right? Wyoming college ball. Jay Novacek, Wyoming. I was right.
I'll tell you something.
Where did Todd Christensen play? He was a big guy in the 80s. Remember him?
No, I don't. But I don't know if there's a better position than tight end.
Todd Christensen played at Brigham Young.
Because you get to smash the hell out of somebody on one play, and then the next one, you could be catching a ball for a touchdown.
I agree. It's a cool position. Keith Jackson, Anthony, we love.
See,
Keith.
I just remember
he wasn't in my top 5, but let me talk about Keith Jackson for a second.
Are we talking like Keith Jackson, like the announcer?
No, Keith Jackson. You know where he played? He was a 3-time All-American college. Is he the announcer guy? No. You know where he played at?
I don't know. Brigham Young.
They announced the guy is Caucasian. Keith Jackson is African American.
Oh, I really have no idea. I typed in Keith Jackson.
Keith Jackson played college ball for Oklahoma.
The Sooners.
He was 3-time All-American, and he would catch like 12 balls a year. Do you know what they used to do with him? This is how good he was.
Jackson.
This is how good he was. You know what they
He
used
played
to
for Philly, Miami, and Green Bay?
Great. Do you know
260.
Do you know what they used to do with him when he was at Oklahoma? Oklahoma wishbone triple option. Do you know how they would get him the ball sometimes?
They handed it to him.
He ran the reverse. He ran the reverse. He was a tight end.
Like that cut play, right? Where everything's flowing one way and then bam, that comes back this way.
He would run the reverse.
So his last year was 96 with Green Bay. He was 6'2", 260. First round pick.
Yep.
He won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
6-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, that's pretty big. That's pretty darn good. And he could block.
So he had 441 career receptions for 5,283 yards and 49 touchdowns.
Better stats probably than Ditka, but Ditka was just a little bit ahead of his time. That's
Dude,
why.
That's a big boy. 260 catching passes.
He was great. There's a lot of guys that
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Is that where he was from?
Yeah. I love Wikipedia.
I'm trying to think of Jason Witten had 13,000 receiving yards.
And he's still playing.
Is he still playing?
Yes, he was on the Raiders.
6'6", 263 from Tennessee. Do you know he played in college? You'll be shocked at this.
I'm sorry. So Jackson caught passes from I figured it was, but Anthony is telling from Randall Cunningham.
Yes.
I had a coach that played for Randall Cunningham. Like, he went through camp and got cut. But Coach Pacifico used to say, like, look at my fingers. The reason they look like this is because Randall Cunningham threw that thing so hard, I broke more fingers trying to catch his passes. That's how much he had on it. Where did Randall Cunningham go to college?
University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV.
Wow. Okay.
He's a UNLV guy.
A program that, allowed a high school coach to take it over. All right, Anthony's right on it, UNLV. Anthony must be a Philly fan.
I'm not sure. UNLV.
And Reggie White was on that Eagles team?
Who?
Reggie White?
Reggie White, yeah.
Does that mean Irving Fryer was on that team? Listen.
He may have been. Irving Fryer was great. Do you know where he
growing up as a Miami fan, you know what I'm saying? Like, Irving
Irving
Fryer was my dog.
He started out in New England, Irving Fryer.
He's definitely not an Eagles fan. He says hell to the no.
Do you know where Irving Fryer played his college ball?
No.
And he was like Keith Jackson. Didn't catch a ton of passes, but averaged like 30 yards a catch.
All right, Matt Dangler.
He played at Nebraska.
Which I've seen a lot of reports lately. If anybody wants Scott Frost, this is it, bro. Like,
really?
Yeah, he lost another, I guess, big time guy to transfer, and he's on the hot seat. Like, this is gonna be it. They may pull the trigger on him after this year because
that's his home. Don't
matter, bro. This is Nebraska, bro.
Get Frost.
He should have just stayed at UCF and just lived in Disney.
He was on his way to being a legend.
Yeah, he blew it. Well, I think those are pretty good lists, dude.
By the way, I got some great plays from what he used to run at UCF.
Good, let's do it. Don't tell me.
Two of our big sets from this year were from that. It wasn't Nebraska night. No, Irving Fryer was 80s Nebraska. Irving Fryer was the same time probably that Keith Jackson was over at Oklahoma in that same time frame.
So the Super Bowl is Kelsey versus Gronk.
Well, Gronk doesn't have as much a role, though.
I'm just saying. You got everybody's going to be talking about Mahomes Brady, Mahomes Brady, Mahomes Brady, Mahomes Brady.
Oh, Frost. He wasn't 95. No, Frost was like Nebraska 90.
Lawrence Phillips.
I think Frost was the
I
year
want to
after.
say 96, 97.
Yeah, because Tommy Frazier was 95, and then
Frost was after.
Frost was right after because Frost was the backup.
Right. That's when Lawrence Phillips punched him in the face.
Climbed it.
Lawrence Phillips says, nothing will stop me from getting into this apartment right now.
Yep, he climbed, he scaled it.
Oh, and he made it. He got him. He got him. Are you talking to my girl? Boom, lights out.
Like, yeah, I don't know what the situation was. But
Well, rest in peace because he ain't around anymore.
no, it's a sad story.
And who was the coach? Warren was the coach?
He was so good. He was so good, man.
Listen, he's like a who was better? Who's the bigger bust? Lawrence Phillips or Maurice Claret?
Maurice Claret.
That was brutal.
You know what? Maurice Claret would not, if he just stayed, he wouldn't have been a bust. Because if he came out so early and he wasn't ready, like, he played against Lawrence Phillips.
What number did Maurice Claret wear?
Played against Claret.
What number did he wear?
20?
Dan Marino.
He was 13?
God, that freshman year he had was ridiculous.
I remember what Lawrence Phillips wore, 5.
I thought he wore 1.
Wasn't he 5? Oh, no. 5 was Tommy Frazier and 1 was Lawrence Phillips. You're right. Wow, you got me on that one.
Who would you rather tackle? Jerome Bettis or Mike Allstott?
Played against LP, but Claret was a bigger bust. Agreed. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Who would you rather see in the hole? Right? Nice. You make a nice scrape. You fill. Jerome Bettis or Mike Allstott?
As a linebacker, I'd want to meet whoever is in the hole, but I would say
stop. This is not a personal thing. I'm just saying.
Who's harder to handle?
Dude, both of that. They're both tackling either of those dudes.
I think Jerome Bettis.
Tackling either.
I think Jerome Bettis. Allstott might have been faster, so he was coming with more at the point of impact. Jerome Bettis was, I'll tell you this, Jerome Bettis, yeah, definitely had more shake. Jerome Bettis, when he was at Notre Dame, when they won a national championship.
Oh, that he was there?
Yeah.
Was that Tim Brown too?
No, Tim Brown was before.
Who was the quarterback of that team?
Tony Rice. Bettis was and he said it was unbelievable. They ran the triple option, and he was just dive back, forget it. He would get the ball as dive back and like be out like touchdown.
Like split safeties.
Because you had to worry about Tony Rice running. And then they're running, you know who else their running back was? Ricky Waters.
Oh, I love that guy. When he was with the Niners, I liked him with the Niners when they won, not when he was with the Eagles.
And the Rocket was probably there too.
Ishmael?
I think he was there at the same time. All of them.
He didn't have a very good NFL career, right?
He was pretty good. He was more of a kick returner. He had a couple of good.
So now here's another one. Okay, so that's one that you're making a tackle not in. Now you're making a tackle in space. Reggie Bush or Tyreek Hill?
In space, Reggie Bush. Hands down, easier to tackle is Reggie Bush. Tyreek Hill. Although Tyreek Hill's, a little different style. Tyreek Hill's a little measured when he makes moves. Like he makes moves.
He like calculates them.
Yeah, like it's
like
different.
He'll go 2 yards by you, stop, and like come back a yard to go back around you because of your pursuit. Whereas Reggie Bush, I think, just hit it and bam.
I love this question.
Ooh, Campbell or Bettis?
Yeah, see, and Anthony's. Well, we'll go back.
How
we'll go,
about I'm just gonna run?
so
to
Anthony says Tyreek. I agree. I think Tyreek. I think Reggie Bush is more
shifty.
flat ahead fast. So let's address this one. Who would you rather tackle? Definitely the hardest attack.
I would run to the sideline.
Campbell. I mean, Campbell. The difference between Bettis and Campbell, they might have like. I think Campbell's legs were bigger, and then the other thing was Campbell was faster. So that point of explode, like he was like a legit
physics.
He was like a legit 10-4, 100 meter.
You're like talking physics, man. You're talking size, motion. You know what I'm saying? What about like
Tyreek? World class speed too.
What about Tyreek or Barry Sanders?
What's that?
Tyreek or Barry Sanders?
Yeah, I like that. That's the call right there. Bettis will put you in the hospital. Campbell will put you in the morgue. I agree.
That goes on the quote board behind you.
What'd you say about Tyreek?
I said, what about like Tyreek Hill or Barry Sanders?
Barry Sanders. But
here's Barry Sanders, the all-time hardest guy to tackle.
Hardest guy to tackle, Barry Sanders.
Number one
hardest guy to tackle. The difference is Barry Sanders could get caught. So, like, if he made a move and broke in the open, he got caught a lot because he was like a high 4.4s guy. Tyreek, if he makes his move and gets
got caught the other night, which I wasn't expecting.
No, he didn't really get caught. They had an over-the-top angle on him. But you're right. He is a measured. It's
like he calculates his moves. It's weird.
He's like, you know what? Can I get to the end zone here? No. Okay, let me get as much as I can.
Like he's thinking.
Yeah, he does. He's so fast. That's probably why he could do it. Like when he jogged down on that block, I mean, he just tried it out.
He was pro jogging. He was pro jogging, waiting for the pictures to be taken.
You know, it's crazy. But I think that's the best running back. We talked about this. What did we do? Did we do a top 5 running backs?
Yeah,
we did. We did.
A lot of love for Barry, man. Another one says Barry Sanders would snapped ACLs.
Yeah. I mean, he was just.
Oh, Anthony says best running back be OJ.
OJ had great speed.
The juice.
OJ had great speed, good moves. He was on the USC 4x1 relay that set the world record.
So we both agree Barry Sanders, hardest player in the history of the NFL to tackle.
I would say yes. To get your hands on, probably the most difficult of all time.
And then Earl Campbell, if you switch gears.
We did the top 5 running backs. Who did I said, what did I say? Did I say Jim Brown number 1? Or Barry? I said, I think
it was Barry, Jim Brown, but you had Emmett on there.
Oh, yeah, I have to have
Campbell was on there.
Did I have Campbell?
I think I had Dickerson.
I definitely had Dickerson on there.
Is Eddie George top 10?
No. Maybe yardage-wise. Best college back of all time. That's a good one. I like what Anthony Jim Brown.
That's like Herschel Walker, Bo Jackson.
My ahead of his time. Like that's part of my thing. Although at my receivers it was tough, and tight ends it was tough to really because
listen. I had Walter Payton number 1.
Ahead of their time that you couldn't like in wide receiver tight end because the game was so different that it was hard. I mean, Anthony's got.
I love Eddie George, bro. But listen, I'm a huge Walter Payton guy. Love Walter Payton. Love Jim Brown. Those guys were just amazing.
What was your top 5 college backs? We've never done that.
That's got to be like Herschel Walker.
Ricky Williams.
Reggie Bush.
Ron Dane.
Ugh.
He set the record.
I would never put him on my list. Every Wisconsin back sets the record.
True. What's his name set the record?
Yeah, there was like 3 in a row. They just all broke it. Now our boy's gonna be the next one.
Yeah, but he didn't. start. He just started carrying the ball at the end. You need those 4 years. You need a full 4.
Marshall Faulk, good call, champ.
Marshall Faulk's a great back. Definitely love him. Love Marshall Faulk. College. Marshall Faulk was great in college.
But you look at all those Miami running backs. They weren't very good in college.
Most dominant college back of all time, I would have to say Herschel Walker.
Yeah, because nobody, it was just whatever. Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson was 2 years.
Who was the dude from Oklahoma that they did the whatever? Dupree.
No, because his career wasn't great in college.
Got it.
The greatest high school back of all time.
Noel Devine.
Dupree, number 1. Number 2. I'll give you number 2. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's the second greatest back in high school history. Marcus Dupree, number 1. Number 2, Derrick Henry.
Noel Devine wins the highlight tape then.
Greatest highlight tape ever. Number 3.
That was the freakish highlight tape I've ever seen in my life.
Number 3, they used to call him the what was his name? He held the record before Derrick Henry broke it. He's from Texas.
Of course he was.
He went to what was his name? He still holds the record.
He probably didn't go to Texas.
No, he went to Texas A&M, played for Bear Bryant.
You have to have I think Reggie Bush has to be on that list.
Running backs?
High school or in college? Absolutely.
Oh.
No, you don't think so? Tony Dorsett, good call, Anthony.
Tony Dorsett was definitely the most, maybe the most explosive. He might be the most, who could get to the end zone now? I mean,
I think you're 100% right with Herschel Walker, though.
He's a
freak.
Again, ahead of his time. He basically he had the moves. He just outran you or ran you over, and he actually successfully did it, which was amazing.
Yep, and he did it all with push-ups and sit-ups.
So the greatest the record before Derrick Henry broke it was Ken Hall. They used to call him the Sugarland Express. Here's his crazy story. So obviously, Bear Bryant coached at Texas A&M first. That's where he got the Junction Boys.
Junction Boys.
Ken Hall went to Texas A&M.
If you can make it through that, you're a god.
So just like the mistake that Barry Switzer made with Marcus Dupree, where he was overly hard on him, and
they needed to be loved up.
Marcus Dupree couldn't handle it really.
Right, he freaked out.
And I'm friends with him on Facebook too. I think Marcus Dupree. And he
Coach Schuman.
I think he probably would say he wasn't mature enough at that time, right? And then
to handle that stuff.
And then you would also say that, you know what, Barry Switzer would not have treated 10 years later. He would not have treated, in the 90s. You wouldn't have treated Mark.
No, you don't treat guys. Come on, man, no way.
But obviously Bear Bryant back in the 50s, 60s. 50s.
What about Eddie George in college? Or
he ran Ken Hall.
What about Work Done?
They said Ken Hall was of his time was the greatest running back. The guy who won the Heisman Trophy, David Allen Crow.
Davis.
He won the Heisman Trophy. Ken Hall was his backup. He said Ken Hall was the best back he'd ever seen. It's just that his relationship with
Barry Sanders, Thurman Thomas.
Yeah. What are we talking? College here?
Yeah.
College.
Falk in college had 6 carries for 4 TDs, Anthony said.
Yeah, he played at San Diego State, and he was great in college.
Tomlinson.
Ron Dane was great in college.
Is that like an inside thing?
Yeah. We had a running back that was really good, but just wasn't fast.
Who, Conley?
No, Conley was fast. Conley was fast. They did not give Conley a fair shake.
Isn't it frustrating when you look back? Because I can look back at my teams and say,
I'm talking about his senior year, he didn't get a fair shake. He should have gotten a bit more.
I can look back and say the exact same thing about certain guys that I played with. Like, this guy was really, really good and just didn't get a shot.
He had an odd style of running. Okay, and if you were to watch his style, it would not sync with what you would think a back style should be. But he was physical, fast, and he was difficult to tackle. But anyway, that's not here or there. It was, and Anthony's right. We did have so many good tailbacks. I mean, we had so many good tailbacks that, in today's day and age, we would have moved some of those guys to receiver.
It's like slot.
Holtz ended up doing that after I left.
You could have moved some guys to slot. Could you have moved some guys to tight end or H-backs if you used them?
Well, we had fullbacks.
And I'm sure some of those guys could have went and played defense.
Probably. I mean, if you think about it, the way that they structured it, they really should have taken some of them and put them in different spots.
Yeah, you had too many good guys doing nothing.
Nowadays, you would have taken
right because you utilize them in different ways.
Because they would have been like your 1, 2, 3 best athletes,
or half of those guys would have transferred in this day and age.
Yeah, but not in FCS. I just think in FC. Yeah, Wilbur, he was a hell of a tailback. I didn't realize that his senior year he played fullback half the time. He was. My redshirt freshman year, this guy, these guys talking about Wilbur Gilliard, he scored 5 touchdowns. I was I blocked for him. I think I 4 of them at fullback. He scored 5 touchdowns in a game, and he just had a way of making you correct when you made a lead block.
Well, he read you.
He always read you.
Like you're supposed to do. Like I tell the receivers, just get into him. The back will make the cutoff of you.
Right. So he
always did it right.
He always made you right. So if you turned him one way, he would just make the right cut, and it was just great because you know what?
Thank you.
You had to dig him out in the old days, but you didn't have to dig him out.
No, dude, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be a pancake block on every time. Just get your angles, get your feet around, get your hands in the right spot.
Right.
Just once if a tailback gets even with you when you're blocking, you should be good. You know Absolutely. What I mean?
I hate to go because I smell good food here, and I think we're gonna have to. But I'd like to tomorrow go to another position since we have such a dull week.
Well, we got to do some defense, man.
Yeah, tomorrow. Well, let's go O-line, D-line tomorrow.
I don't even. A D-line will be a lot easier. O-line, I don't have a clue.
Come on, do some research.
I don't even think I can name an offensive.
Number 1, Anthony Munoz.
Okay. Nate Newton.
Nate Newton's definitely top 5.
Alan Faneca.
I don't even know who that is.
Nick Mangold.
Nate Soder.
Bazzelli.
Bazzelli was great.
Joe Thomas,
definitely top 5.
Anthony,
yeah.
Another one I have.
We're gonna go because I'm starving. Give it, Anthony. What is it?
Ogden.
Give me your top 5. Another one. Shoot it in there. We'll put it up real quick, and we'll preface it with that for tomorrow.
Ogden, baby.
All right. So here's what we go. Pace.
Yeah, no, Pace. Yes.
Lando Pace. Anthony's right on. Munoz. Ogden was great. Pace. Shell. Art Shell. Jackie Slater.
I'm going to have to do some research.
You're going to do your research.
Nick Mangold? Or his sister?
His sister was a great athlete. Great athlete. Was she Olympian in the powerlifting or something?
Yes. Yes.
He could have started at any high school team in America.
I would have taken her right now.
No doubt about it. I think she was like Olympic champion.
Yeah, she was like a power lifter, man.
All right, we're out.
Hit the drop.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Football and the Kitchen Sink with Coach Schuman and Coach DePascali. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. If you like what you heard, leave us a review. And be sure to tell us. We will meet you back here next time on Football and the Kitchen Sink.
All right, we're out. I'm starving.
All right, fellas, everybody, appreciate the interaction.
Today. It's a lot more fun when you guys come on. We'll always interact with you. Have a great day.
All right.
Later.
Later.